Are you dropping off your dog in doggy daycare, hoping he or she has a wonderful time while you're at work or running errands? How would you feel if you got your dog back completely exhausted every single time and your dog developed a severe case of leash reactivity, so lunging, barking, growling at every other dog? Today, I'm going to introduce you to Sheila and her story, how daycare caused her severe reactivity issues and fear of other dogs. So stay tuned and have fun. Alright, so first of all, I want to say that Sheila's mom was really, really awesome. She took this seriously, while a lot of small dog owners don't, and Sheila was a Maltese, so a very small dog. But her mom really recognized how much Sheila is struggling and how much this is actually hurting her more than her mom. Because let's be honest, yes, it's embarrassing when a small dog goes crazy on leash, and yes, if the small dog redirects and bites the owner, it hurts and can get infected and stuff, but it's not as dangerous and as unbearable as with a mastiff, for example, right? So kudos to her. Now, this is a perfect example why I'm so careful with doggy daycares. And to be honest, in my area, I have not one single daycare I could really recommend. Not all of them are abusive or anything like the one Sheila experienced, but I am very picky about who I trust with my dog or with my clients' dogs, because let's be honest, I usually don't work with easygoing family dogs, right? And even those can be traumatized in a facility like this. So, alright, let's dive in. Sheila was a very loving dog. She was fine with every other dog, except for very unfriendly dogs or very rough dogs. She didn't like that, and she was a little bit timid around them, but that's it. She was fine on walks. She did not react in any kind of bad way towards other dogs or people or whatever. And she was just a social butterfly and a very easygoing dog. But her mom was going back to working at her office, and she thought, well, while I'm at work all day, I can provide Sheila with a great experience and a lot of doggy friends. So she brought her to the local daycare facility. And she started to have a little bit of a bad feeling because whenever she dropped her off, there was a lot of barking. There was very big groups of dogs, but it was clean and the workers were friendly enough, so she didn't really trust her gut. But she saw Sheila getting home more exhausted every single week. And also, within just a couple of weeks, Sheila became a completely different dog on walks. She would lunge and bark and growl her little head off whenever she saw a dog and some people, which was really weird for her mom because Sheila had never had any problem with people. She was always friendly. She was not that interested in people, but she was definitely not having any problems with them. And first, her mom thought, well, maybe this is her going into heat, or this is any kind of health issue, which is awesome. So she got her checked out, but there was nothing wrong with her. And she didn't go into heat either. So this was not what was causing that. So she paid a little bit of more attention on how she felt on walks, and she worked on her energy because she had heard that that is the thing to do. And dogs only escalate when the person's energy is wrong. So she tried to work on that, but she didn't see any difference. And she actually wasn't quite convinced about that because she didn't feel like she was off energetically or acting differently than before. So it all came back to the daycare. Now, she paid a lot more attention to what the people were doing there. And the first thing she noticed were slip leads. At first, she didn't think much of it because it was just to transfer the dog from one area to another, or from the entrance to the group or whatever, and just to get it off faster, or so she thought. But then she got a video of the inside of the facility because she asked for it. And what she saw was some dogs being walked on that slip lead through that big group of other dogs. Some dogs were quote unquote trained with that, so they just tucked on it and used corrections, if you want to call it that. And some dogs even had the slip lead on and it was dragging behind them, which is absolutely useless. But they said because they wanted to be able to take the lead if something happens. But what was more concerning to her was that they walked around with whips, the kinds that horse carriage drivers use. And she asked them what those were for, and they told her that they were using those whips for correcting the dogs and for breaking up fights. And this was very alarming to her because, of course, she knew that no dog deserved to get whipped for just behaving in a way people don't like, or the only way they know how to, right? Because dogs just act how they think will get them through a situation safely. So this was a no-go for her, thank goodness. And what she saw in the video as well was that since this group was big dogs and small dogs combined, it happened very often that a big dog would just run over a small dog and roll that small dog, or even chase them. And the personnel wasn't really educated in dog body language, and they did not know that this was not play. So they didn't intervene. But for the small dogs, this was very traumatizing because getting chased by other dogs is potentially traumatizing. And for Sheila, this was probably the thing that really put her over the edge and that really taught her that other dogs can be pretty scary, if not dangerous. So Sheila's mom took her out of that daycare. It was really scary for her because she didn't know what to do now. It was the only daycare in her area. And frankly, she had lost trust in daycares anyway. So this was really, it was traumatizing for her as well, right? So she understood very well that Sheila had to be scared in that environment, and she was there for 8 hours a day, right? So she was scared for 8 hours a day. Can you imagine how horrible that is? I mean, yeah. So no wonder she was exhausted when she got home. No wonder she didn't want to go for walks. No wonder she would lunge and bark and growl at every other dog just to ensure her safety, just to ensure that this was not happening again outside of that facility. And this really should not happen, but it does. So what we did with Sheila, of course, we did not look for another daycare. Her mom found an awesome sitter who came to her house, not 4 days a week, but I think 1 or 2 days. And the other times she just took her with her in her office, which she didn't know was possible, but she just told her boss that she had to do that because there was no other option. And they were understanding, which is awesome, right? So she could do that, and Sheila was fine in the office. She was fine with her colleagues, and she was very friendly there, and she didn't interrupt any working process or anything. So it was great for her and for her mom, because she loved having Sheila there and know she's safe. And the sitter, of course, was somebody, not a professional, but somebody who was very sensitive with her. She did what Sheila's mom taught her, and at the beginning she didn't take her out for walks, but only for potty breaks. So there was not much that could happen or intervene with training progress or anything like that. But later on, it was possible for them to walk together and nothing really happening, and Sheila was fine again. But this was a longer process for her. She had found, again, her mom was so awesome. She put so much effort in that, and that was really great. She found Sheila some doggy friends, some very sensitive doggy friends who were very careful with Sheila. They just let her be. They did not approach her at all because they realized that Sheila was afraid, and having such dogs to help is a total game changer. It's so great. And one of them was even a big dog, a little older golden, and he was just a big softie. He was so nice to her, and he just let her approach in her own speed, and he would just do his thing and sniff around and do all the friendly dog things they can. And of course, there were some small dogs that Sheila was getting comfortable with a little bit faster, and she even played with them. It took a little bit of time, not too much, and she would be very happy to see them and would play with them, and that was awesome. That restored the trust in other dogs in her. And of course, there was the usual but tailored to her needs training, so that she could learn that other dogs on leash will not harm her. She could act in a certain way that would let her feel comfortable and not feel the need to lunge, bark, growl, whatever. And she needed a little bit of distance in the beginning, not too much. And she learned very quickly. Because, of course, she had some previous knowledge of this, right? Because it was not like with many other dogs who grow up and develop leash reactivity before developing leash walking skills. For her, she did have those skills before she got reactive. So it was easier for her to fall back on those. And her loose leash walking was awesome all the time. So it was really just the other dogs. And the combination of really digging deep about why this is happening and then tackling the problem on different ends was what got Sheila back to her loving social self. She's no longer a completely social butterfly because that trauma sits with her, and she is sizing up dogs she doesn't know, but she no longer feels the need to lunge, bark, growl, whatever. And what I want you to do today, if you have a dog who shows any signs of reactivity, lunging, barking, tensing up when he sees other dogs or people, try to find out why, if you can. With some dogs you can't because it's in the past and you didn't get your dog before. So this happened with a previous owner. But if you can, try to find out what's causing it or what's keeping it that way. Because, as with the daycare, if Sheila went back to that place every day, even with training, she wouldn't have gotten better. Because this was adding to her trauma. And if she had gone back there, it would have continued to add to the trauma. And working against that with training is not only hard, it's almost impossible. So find out what keeps your dog in that state. Don't fall for any kind of, oh, this is your energy things, because it's BS. Don't fall for anything that involves correcting the dog, because it's just dealing with a symptom. It's not dealing with why the dog is acting that way. And it will not change the dog's emotions behind it. A correction will never be able to change how the dog feels about a situation and will never make the dog feel better about a situation. It's not possible. And they are lunging, barking, growling, acting out because they feel uncomfortable. So we cannot add something that makes them feel more uncomfortable. Sounds about right, right? So there is a lot of information out there. It is really hard to find the good ones in every profession, but also in daycares and sitters and stuff like that. And I would always prefer a sitter because it's just one person that comes to your home if your dog is fine with that. And it's a lot more relaxed. But I do know professionals who offer group walks. So they pick up the dogs, or the dogs are brought to them, and they take them for a little adventure for an hour or more during the day. So they get the potty break in and they meet friends and stuff like that. But if this is a bigger group, the person organizing this has to be really well trained. It's not that easy to walk 15 dogs, and they have to be very aware of group dynamics. They have to be very aware of each dog's needs, and they have to work force-free, definitely. No matter if it's a facility where you drop a dog off, or if it's a sitter that comes to your home, or if it's a dog walker who takes out multiple dogs, it's really important that they know how they work and they use force-free techniques. That way, you can ensure that your dog really has a good time while you're in work and prevent any behavioral issues that could come from that. That's it. I would love for you to like and subscribe and share the episode with somebody who struggles with a reactive dog and doesn't know yet how to start or how to find out what's causing this. And together we can help even more dogs, even more dog parents to live a relaxed way, to enjoy each other's company and just be an awesome team. Because that's what we want with our dogs, right? So thank you so much for doing that, and have a wonderful day with your dog, and we'll see each other next time. Bye.